Excellent. So as we know, it's actually BSBOPS304, Deliver and Monitor Service to Customers, which is one of the 12 units that are being taught for BSB 30420 Cert 3 in Library and Information Studies. This PowerPoint, along with a handout sheet, as well as the workbook, are available in your files section of the unit. Whenever we start a new unit, I'd like to start with an acknowledgement of country. TAFE New South Wales would like to pay our respects and acknowledge Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples as the traditional custodians of the land, rivers, and sea. We acknowledge and pay our respects to the elders past, present, and emerging of all nations. I'm teaching from a Wabuckle land today, and if anybody else would like to share the land you are learning from today, please share it with us in the chat box. So this is the first time I'm calling this unit the bullet point unit. I have never seen so many bullet points in a workbook in all the units I've ever taught. So this is the bullet point unit, okay? When you know how that first part of your workbook, it says, what are you going to learn in this book? And then it has like 3 or 4 things. This one has 2 full pages of bullet points just in what you're going to learn. So it's very different from some of the other ones that we have had. So when we look at this slide, you can see we're going to look at interpersonal skills. So this is all about customer service to meet customer needs. We're going to look at our interpersonal skills. We're going to look at how to determine our priorities. What are the urgency of our different activities to determine our priorities? We're going to look at effective communication to inform our customer of their choices. Okay. Also, what limitations we might have. Then we're going to look at providing prompt service to customers. And of course, that we are in accordance with the organizational policies and procedures, as well as legislative requirements. We're going to learn how to establish good rapport with our students, with our customers, to ensure quality customer service. And we're going to be sensitive to individual customers and what their needs are. We're going to provide assistance to respond to customers that have specific needs according to our organizational policies, procedures, and the legislative requirements. We're going to identify and use available opportunities to promote and enhance our services. Regularly review customer satisfaction, identify opportunities to enhance the quality of our service, monitor the procedural aspects of service delivery, regularly seek feedback, and then ensure that our reports are clear. So just like everything that we do, we always are going to plan appropriately. So we're going to prepare. Then we're going to actually provide the customer service. And after we provide the service, we're going to be looking at, we're going to review it and see what we can do to improve upon the service that we're delivering. So the first section is all about identifying customer needs. And there are a couple of different times that as library professionals, we identify our customer needs. Sometimes we identify the needs when we are doing a reference interview and helping them with their information needs. Sometimes we identify their customer needs when we're doing a reader's advisory interview, which is where we help them with their reading needs. We match readers and books. This one is just in general, linking our customers with whatever it is that they need in our organization. So in the first topic of the chapter, we'll look at who's the customer, what is customer service, how do we relate to customers, providing customers with information, prioritizing service, and considering the legislation. So who is a customer? Who is a customer? Customers are people or organizations who use the products or services or your organization. It can include members of the public, other businesses or organizations, or members of your organization. You'll notice that you can have both internal and external members of your organization. You can have customers who, if you're in technology, for instance, your customers might be internal people who are working in a different department. Okay, so they can be outside of your organization or inside your organization. So what is customer service? Here's our definition of customer service. Customer service is anything an organization does that involves interaction with customers or impacts on customers somehow. So what are the types of customer service? Over the counter or face-to-face, customer service on the telephone. We don't just help provide solutions, but we also deal with complaints. We help customers with special needs, and we use feedback to improve our services. So the level of customer service an organization provides has a big impact on its success. Good customer service is going to lead to a more successful organization, more loyal customers who will talk about your company. However, bad customer service can do the opposite, where you're going to lose customers, you're going to lose loyalty, and the word of mouth is going to be bad. And so new people aren't going to come to your organization. So customer service, high qualities of customer service are really important. So we need to make sure, we need to find out what the customer needs and expectations are. Okay. And there are different, our customers, when they come into us, are going to have different requests for what they need from us. Sometimes they need advice. Sometimes they need more information. Sometimes they need to make an appointment or even file a complaint. They might need to purchase a product, return a product or service. And it's really important that we focus on fairness and politeness. And sometimes our customers are going to look for price or value. And sometimes they're going to want to hear about the price and the value and what will benefit them the most. So there are two ways that we find out about the needs of our customers. The first is that they will tell us. They'll walk up to the desk and say, "Hi, I'm really upset and I need to file a complaint. Hi, I'm here and my stuff isn't working. Hi, I'm here today to register. I'm here today to change my address." Okay, so sometimes they're just going to tell us, but sometimes we need to actually ask our customers. We need to be the ones who get the information out of them in order to best meet their needs. And it's important that we realize that sometimes they might ask for one thing, not providing you all the information, and actually need something else. And there might be reasons for that. And some of those might be that their English isn't perfect. They might not be able to explain what they want, or they may not even know exactly what they want. Like somebody might come up to a library and say, "How do I check out books here?" And they may not know how, right? And how people check out books at the library might have changed. It used to be that you would have to get a library card and then you would go to the desk and you would check it out, but maybe now it's all done on the app. And so you need to do a little bit of technology teaching to let them know that, or provide them with documentation on how to download the app, how they do self-checkout, how they can extend the length of their to check out their books themselves. So whatever they may not even know what it is that they need. They just know that they want to check out books. So what is our goal? Our goal is customer satisfaction. One of the best indicators of good customer service is customer satisfaction. When they believe that you or your organization have done something worthwhile and in the way that they would like to have it done, they are satisfied. There are two aspects of customer service: doing something that the customer thinks is worthwhile and doing it the way the customer would like it done. Sometimes, by the way, we don't do either one of those things, and you'll see later that we need to be prepared for those situations as well. So when we relate to customers, some of the things that you can do to have good relations with your customers are be friendly and courteous, ask their name and use it if it's appropriate in conversation. And this would be really important on the phone, in person, or in the written when you write people emails or chats. Using somebody's name really makes them feel like they're being heard and that they're an important person in the conversation. Active listening, asking questions, summarizing and paraphrasing what the customer says and repeating it back to them. When I talk to the diploma students about the reference interviews and the reader's advisory interviews, I talk to them about parroting back as a parrot, like a bird, P-A-R-R-O-T. You want to parrot back what you need. Oh, so from what I understand, you're interested in the information about how to check books out at our library. Let me share that with you. First, you have to download the app and apply for an account. That'll happen immediately once you just, you'll have to go to your email in order to confirm the account. But once you do that, you can check the books out on your own. You can reserve books on your own. You can even extend your checkout on your own. And when you come back to the library, you just swipe it at the kiosk and it'll check out and just put it in the book pile or something like that. Provide them with an opportunity to confirm their request. So did that sound right to you? Is that what you want? Being attentive but not pushy. Use plain, understandable language and avoid technical jargon. Make sure you have a good knowledge of what you're talking about. So wherever you're working, some of the diploma students right now are going into their work placements. And what I've told them is be prepared and know about the library before you get there. Go to their website, do some research before you get there, okay? Same thing with providing any kind of customer service. Wherever you're working, know what the policies are, at least have read them once. The other thing, and we're going to touch on this later, is it's okay to be honest about things you don't know. Okay. And it's okay to say, you know what, I'm not really sure about that. Let me go ask my colleague. Or that's not my best skill. Let me talk, like if somebody's asking me about history books and I focus on children's literature, I might say, you know what, let me go grab my colleague who's specialist in history. Okay. You want to be prompt and not rush them, thank them, and say goodbye. Above all, treat the customer the way you would like to be treated. And remember, we always say when you're communicating, when you're providing customer service, no matter what kind of customer service you're doing, you want to have a beginning, a middle, and end. You want to welcome people to the desk. Hi, how can I help you? If it's appropriate, you say your name. You help them with what their research need is, or whatever their customer service need is, followed by an ending. Thank you so much for coming by. Let me know if there's anything else I can do to help. Okay. I think sometimes when we do our role plays, we're so happy it's over, we forget to finish the conversation. So just remember beginning, middle, and end. So what about body language? If I grab my cell phone and I'm looking at my cell phone and you come up to my desk and you ask me a question, that is not a very welcoming environment. Okay. But if I don't have my cell phone and I'm making eye contact with you and I smile when you arrive and say, hi, how are you? I'm Mel. How can I assist you? It's creating a welcome environment. So on this slide, it just is pointing out, and you guys can read this, you'll read it in the computer, in TDC anyway, that there's eye contact, relaxed and pleasant facial expressions, body posture, and here's what it says, if standing, nod, if seated, face the customer and lean forward a little bit. That provides a better customer service approach. Allow the customer their personal space, don't get too close, and be neat. Keep your clothing, physical appearance, and work area neat. Now, the book spends a bunch of time talking about how you behave on the phone, different from how you behave in person. Okay, so it says here that with the phone calls, you want to make sure to answer the calls promptly within 10 seconds if possible. Say hello, state the name of your company and your own name, and allow the customer to say their name if they would like. Make sure your tone of voice suggests that you're interested. If you need to put the caller through to another department, try to do that as soon as possible. If you have to put them on hold, make sure you get back to them as often as you can. Sometimes you're not going to be able to solve the problem in that time frame, so you might go back and say, hey, I'm going to need a couple more minutes. Would it be, can you still stay on hold because I'm still looking into this for you. Return calls as promptly as you can. Show interest by asking questions and doing active listening. Don't waste their time, but also don't rush. And make sure that any calls that need follow-up are done as soon as possible. This is more about positive phrases and how to speak to customers, especially when you're on the phone. You need to speak positively And use phrases that build confidence and show that you are going to take care of it. For instance, I'll take care of it, I'll do it right away, or I can. You want to avoid phrases that will upset customers, okay? You want to avoid phrases that where the customer confidence goes down, like I'll try, I'm not sure, or you can't, okay? You want to leave those things out. So when you use positive and specific words and phrases, it increases customer confidence and builds rapport. Make sure to create a positive image by using please, thank you, how may I help you, and using the customer names. So those are some easy tips for superior customer service. Please, thank you, how may I help you, and using their name. So looking at these nonverbal cues, you can see that some of them exude confidence, some of them are surprised. The first one is surprised, maybe. The next one's bored. This one is a little bit too sappy for customer service, right? This one on the right, oh, it's so nice to see you. I'm so glad you're here. We probably don't want to use that one, right? This one is a real confident one, right? This one on the bottom left. Here's confidence. She's ready to help you and she's ready to take care of your need. Angry or just doesn't know anything. I don't know. Not my job. Oh. So be aware of how you look when you're approached and when people have when they have customer service needs. So there are different kinds. We're shifting gears a little bit here. This is to providing customers with information. So we're not talking, we're finished with the part about how we're going to communicate with customers. Now we're talking about what the different kinds of information you might be providing to customers. You do need to have an excellent knowledge of your subject area. So it's really important that you learn about the organization and you learn about what the products are or the services so that you can answer questions. And here are some examples of some of the different types of information you might provide people with. Different brands, pricing structures, quality, time frame, use of resources, or effectiveness. Okay, so an example would be maybe if you were doing customer service for a cell phone company, you would need to know about the different pricing structures. What are the differences? Okay, how are people going to spend their money? They're going to want to ask you questions about those different items listed here. And we talked about this a little bit earlier, and that was knowing when it's time to ask for help. It might not be your area of specialty. It might not be your subject matter. Sometimes it is appropriate to seek help from somebody else. And so you shouldn't be embarrassed to ask for help. It actually takes a lot of courage to ask for help. And you should do it whenever you need it because you want to make sure that the organization looks like and presents itself as if it has everything under control. Even if it doesn't, you still want to make sure you know who the person is who you can get assistance from. One of the times in particular that comes up with customer service where you might need help is with complaints. And when people get really, really antsy or really, really angry or whatever, you might just say, you know, I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm going to be able to meet your needs. I'm going to go get a supervisor right now. Would you please just wait a minute and step away? You know, don't let people treat you in a way that's inappropriate and just feel free to step away and ask for help. So how do we prioritize our services? When we go to work, we pretty much should know what we're supposed to do every day, okay? When we're working at the customer service counter or in customer service, whether it's on the phone, in person, or via email, we need to look at what our job roles are and with the policies and procedures of the organization to figure out what items come before others. Now, when we talked about work health and safety, when you learn about work health and safety, we learned that health and safety come before just about everything, right? If there's water spilled on the floor, you clean up the water first and you just ask your customer to wait patiently while you take care of it. Okay. But what this is talking about is knowing about the policies and procedures, all the different policies and laws associated with your organization so that you can properly prioritize what services you provide. And here's where it talks about understanding your daily work activities so that you can determine what comes first and what you can push till later. But definitely when you're communicating with customers, if something needs to be put off or you need to do something first, it's really important to acknowledge the customer who's waiting and reassure them that you'll attend to them as soon as possible. And if it's too long, you can explain to them what other options are available and how long you will likely be. Sometimes you just aren't going to be able to get to it. And you're going to say, I'm really sorry, but I can't take care of this for you today. Is there any way you can come back tomorrow? It's not ideal, but it might happen, you know? Okay, I didn't put all the information about all of the pieces of legislation into the slideshow. They're all in the workbook on page 27. They will also be on TDC. I just want to make sure that you know that you need to consider relevant legislation when delivering and monitoring services to customers, okay? Now we're going to go into topic 2, which is delivering a service. And this is the part where we talk about how we're actually going to deliver service to people. And we want to make sure in this topic, we're going to talk about meeting customer expectations, assisting customers with specific needs, dealing with customer complaints, and promoting services and products. So when we are meeting our customers' expectations, we want to make sure that we're providing prompt service. We need to figure out what a customer wants and attempt to provide that as soon as possible. And there may be some reasons why you can't perform the task immediately, and that's okay too. But some of the reasons might be organizational procedures, more urgent priorities, or you're out of stock on something. So if you're in a sales position, you might be out of stock on something, and then you're going to have to just tell the customer and tell them what their options are. We're out of stock on that. We should be getting it on Monday. Would you like to come in and get it on Monday, or would you like me to ship it to your house? What are your options? But it is up to you to communicate clearly with your customers, and if it's possible, provide them with a time frame if things aren't working out. Now we're talking about special needs, and here are a few of the special needs that come up in the book. But customers come in all shapes and sizes, and some of your customers are going to need a different approach than the majority of your customers. So it's really important to be sensitive to a customer's specific needs. And the ones that it talks about here, and the great thing about this is that we're just talking about it briefly now, but one of the next units we're doing is use inclusive work practices. And so we're going to actually expand upon this coming up in a unit or two. But some of the just examples of the special needs could be disabilities, limited English language skills, beliefs or values, religious or spiritual observances, gender, age, and culture. So customer service is taking into account all of the above and finding the best possible way for you to provide customer service. So, what do we do about customer complaints? In a perfect world, everyone would be satisfied and there wouldn't be any complaints. But that world doesn't exist. And when you're in customer service, you're the one who often hears about what the problems are. Things do go wrong. That's reality. So you're inevitably going to be receiving complaints. So how you deal with them goes a long way. If a customer can still leave happy and satisfied, even if they don't get what they want or what they came in for. Okay, there are ways to meet customer needs, even if what they asked for is different from what you end up providing. So when we deal with customer complaints, there are a series of steps that we can take. We're going to follow these in order to strategically deal with an angry customer. First, what you want to do is you want to start by agreeing with their difficulty. So as an example, you might say, I can understand why you're so upset. That would really frustrate me if I couldn't use the software program that I paid for. I understand completely. Then you want to show that you care about the customer's point of view and feelings. Yeah, I'm sure you were really frustrated about the software program not working, and it probably wasted a lot of time. So that's really unfortunate. State your understanding of the situation and ask your customer to confirm that this is correct. So from what I understand, you bought the monthly service for 6 months. You've only had it for two weeks. It was working last week and it's not working anymore. Is that correct? Rephrase what the customer has said. Try and make sense of the situation. Provide a clear and concise explanation for what has happened. So let's say that you have had an opportunity to look in your emails. So Monday morning, we got into class to teach Monday morning, and at 9 a.m., none of the computers worked on the entire campus at Ties Hill. Nothing. So we couldn't even go in to see that there was a computer outage. We didn't get our computers back till 11:30. So we had to totally revamp and change everything the way we were teaching class. But for me to by me being able to find that email, knowing that the email was there, they send us an email as soon as something like that happens. And I had a laptop and that was working, and it was working on my phone. Oh, there's a system outage in the entire on the entire campus today. So I'm sorry about the difficulty we've had, but the good news is that it was fixed by 11:30 and we aren't going to have that again. If necessary, apologize. I'm so sorry that that happened to you. Clearly, the company, that is not in the company's best interest, and the company would not want that to happen to you. So I'm really sorry for the frustration that you've had. And make sure that your customer has followed your explanation. Okay, so do you understand what happened? Do you understand that we had a failure on our part and that it's fixed now? And just making sure, confirm with the client that they understand what your situation is and how you're going to help them. So there are steps that are outlined in the book for handling complaints. Number one, deal with the complaint right away. Be sympathetic and calm. Identify the problem. Listen carefully. And when you think you're understood, check with them and ask what they want you to do. Decide what can be done. It may be anything from an explanation and apology through to replacement or repair. My ebook doesn't work. My Kindle doesn't work. I'd like a new one. Okay, here, I'm going to go ahead and take your old one. Here's your new one for you. Is everything good, right? Keep a written record of all your complaints, whether face-to-face, by telephone, or in writing. Most organizations in their organizational policy will have some standards and requirements for how the complaints are actually recorded. And so you want to make sure that you understand what the policy is in terms of recording your complaints. Fix the problem if you can. Okay, make sure it's carried out and follow up with the customer and make sure they're satisfied with your action. So did I satisfy all of your concerns today? Excellent. When the other thing I'm going to put on here that you would probably do next is say, would you mind filling out a comment card so that we can make sure that, so we can hear your feedback and that this doesn't happen in the future. Suppose you and your organization can view complaints positively and appropriately deal with them. In that case, the complaints can be an opportunity to increase customer satisfaction and build customer loyalty. So if you're one of those organizations, let's say that you go to a hamburger place, you order a hamburger and the hamburger's whatever, it's awful for whatever reason. The person immediately takes it back, makes you a brand new hamburger, and the hamburger is one of the best hamburgers you've ever had. You're probably going to tell your friends about it. You're going to say, not only was that the best hamburger that I had, but the first one I wasn't really happy with. They took care of me immediately. Right? So the ability to successfully handle a customer complaint is really valuable. So, like I said, you're going to want to make sure to record your complaints. Okay, we're going to record them for future reference and also so that they can be used by the organization to become a better organization. You want to make sure to include the time and date of the complaint, the name and contact details of the person making the complaint, name of the person taking the complaint, details of the issue, copies of any documentation, suggestions made, details if the complaint has been referred, as well as follow-up information. So sometimes if you're working at like a grocery store or something and somebody returns something, you might have a receipt and you might need to take a copy of the receipt and put the receipt in, or at a department store or something like that. So there's another aspect of customer service, and that is promoting services and products. So sometimes you like, let's talk about, we were talking before about the cell phone situation, right? If you were working at a cell phone company, not only do you need to know a lot of information about each of the cell phone plans, but you also need to know, like a lot of times they have incentives. Like Foxtel has incentives. Oh, well, if you sign up right now, you can get this for 3 months or that for 3 months. So sometimes you're actually promoting services and products and selling them to people. So it when you're providing the customer service, it's upon you to do what's called upselling, to increase the services that people are using, and you want to enhance the service that you're providing, which ultimately is going to create more customer loyalty, and they're most likely to return and spend more time next time. So when we're promoting services and products, there are a few areas where your input that could be included: procedures for delivery of the goods, what the return policies are, the system of recording complaints, extending timelines, setting up or helping with a website, marketing on social media, packaging procedures, and update of customer service charter. So those are just some examples. So we're moving on to the third and final subject of monitoring and reporting in this unit. And we are going to learn about one thing in this topic: reviewing customer satisfaction. So as we talked about before, we have our beginning, our middle, and our end. First, we prepare to provide good customer service, then we provide the service, after which time we actually review our customer service and see what a job we've done. So we want to measure customer satisfaction levels. When we do that and provide excellent customer service, those two things together are essential for the organization to be successful. And there are many different ways that we can actually determine our customer satisfaction levels. We can get customer feedback directly, verbally, or in questionnaires or surveys. We can look at our customers, whether they're coming back or not, whether they've left, whether they're one-time customers or return customers. We can listen to our service calls, look at our complaint records, look at our quality assurance data, and we can also look at audits and reports. So feedback's really important. And I think feedback is one of those things that a lot of people get really nervous about. And I think what we need to do is remember that it's really in our best interest to look positively at feedback. Feedback doesn't have to be a negative thing. It can be just how you can do something better. Okay. It's the information from our current or potential customers about our service. It can be positive, negative, or it can be a combination of both. Positive feedback can include compliments, suggestions, and praise. And negative feedback might include criticisms and complaints. It can also be received in different ways. It can be verbal and it can be nonverbal. And so there are different things that you can do, different ways of receiving feedback from your customers. Most importantly, feedback can show an organization areas that need to be improved. And if you can handle a complaint, you can create a loyal customer who will recommend you to other people. We really want to encourage feedback. We want to encourage good feedback and bad feedback. The bad feedback is really important. And the bad feedback doesn't necessarily have to be about us. Let's say that somebody bought something from our company and it broke. Or let's talk about the software situation where they paid for their service and the service stopped working after 2 weeks. And then they come into our organization and we help them immediately with it. Not only do we help them immediately with it, we get the software program up and running, and then we give them a free month because they were frustrated and they shouldn't have had to deal with that. They leave with a high level of satisfaction with our company. Okay. They can still complain about the fact that the program went down, and they can still give us good comments about what good customer service we offered. Okay, so we have a big responsibility in customer service of assisting the entire organization with their success. So what are we asking? What are we doing that you want us to stop doing? What are we doing that you want us to continue doing? What are we doing that you think we need to change? To what extent did the service you received from us meet your expectations, or in what way did our service not meet your expectations? Okay, so these are just some examples of the type of feedback we could ask for. So we want to record feedback. It's a good idea for the organization to have forms and records of all of the feedback that we get. They should allow for the person's name, the contact details, the nature of the feedback, the date and the time. It's important that they're all filed together. And the results of the feedback, are really important when we decide the future of our organization. And finally, our last slide, monitoring feedback. The customer service A customer service survey report summarizes feedback and makes recommendations for any areas that may need improvement. And this is what would be included in a survey, a customer service survey report. It would have an introduction, the survey results, as well as the recommendations. So that is all of BSBOPS 304.